because I do feel I'm more of a movie buff than a photographer. I'm like a movie buff, and photography is a hobby.
Hello Andy, let's start our interview from the latest project Football Aid for UNICEF. And for this project you photographed Sam Claflin, so tell us the story behind the photography.
I've been doing Soccer Aid now for 3 years, and it started, I was having a big exhibition in London in Mayfair called Icons, and the owner of the gallery, Maddox, was on holiday. I think it was in Malaga or somewhere. And he bumped into the CEO of Soccer Aid. And so over a drunken lunch, the owner of Maddox suggested maybe that they would like to use me for some of their iconic portraits of the football players. I am not a football fan. I don't like football. It bores me, football. I don't like it at all. I love movies and that kind of thing. So I approached it as I'm just photographing these people as famous faces rather than sports people. And so it's lovely. With Soccer Aid, you've got a whole collection of not just footballers. You've got people like Usain Bolt and Mo Farah, and then and other sports people that aren't football related. Then you've got actors and singers and celebrities. So that kind of was the draw to me. And the way it's done, I mean, Soccer Aid is quite a bizarre affair anyway. The only time I can get to photograph the people is during their practicing 5 minutes per person in between, so that they come off the field all sweaty, and I mop them down and give them a clean t-shirt to put on. And in the picture, Sam Claflin has played a few times in Soccer Aid. This has been the first time we've shot together. And again, what's lovely about, and this is what's lovely about photography generally, is you meet people that you wouldn't normally meet, but you should have met, because Sam apparently comes from my hometown in Norfolk, and so at some point I should have bumped into him in McDonald's or somewhere. I should have just bumped into him, but we never did. So it's lovely being able to have a chat about, you know, real things, not about movies or about football, but real things. I mean, his family, etc. So it's nice to be able to interact, do a very, very quick photo shoot.
In the photo description of Sam Claflin's photo, you had it was one shot Scott special. So it's quite interesting how you get this nickname from Paul Newman.
And there's a few icons that I would love to shot that I hadn't done. And Paul Newman was one of these people. And so I was trying to get Paul Newman for a long time. Then I shot Susan Sarandon, who knows Paul really well. And at our shoot, I said to her, oh, I need a big person to continue. And she said, is there anyone that you'd like? I said, yes, Paul Newman. And so she arranged the shoot. And then probably 2-3 weeks later, his assistant emailed me. He said, yeah, Paul would love to be photographed by you. Can you come to Connecticut? And I said, just to warn you, Mr. Newman, I do shoot very quickly. And he said, Mr. Gotts, I've been shot by the best. He said, I know quick is never quick in the world of photography. And I said, I promise you, I am very quick. After about 6 minutes, I said, Mr. Newman, we've done it. He said, that's impossible. Impossible. So I showed him the shots, and he went, you really are one shot Gotts. and that kind of that nickname kind of stuck then. So so in the industry, people know I'm really quick. And what's funny is because he'd paid for the flight, he wanted his money's worth. He didn't want me to leave, so he sat there. We watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. His wife cooked us lunch. We then watched another movie, and then he let me go because he said he wanted his money worth. So I was kept hostage for a day, which was lovely because he was my hero, and so it was a pleasure.
Andy, I want to ask about your working process because Brad Pitt was also surprised as you did not use any assistant on the shoot.
When I very first started, so in 1990, so 33 years ago when I first started, I assisted certain people like David Bailey and Annie Leibovitz when she was in London, and Lord Snowdon for him for a little while. And you realise with all those people primarily shoot actors, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor photographer. That's what I wanted. And when I sat there just as an assistant watching, and you saw there was probably 20 people in the room, you saw it takes about 6 hours. And then I said to myself, when it's my career and I do it, I shall take 10 minutes and there'll be no one there apart from me. And no one would believe me. Well, I said that right back 30 years ago. No one would believe it. They said, no one will sit for you. No one would trust you. But I stuck to it. And what you get from my shoots, your eyes aren't distracted, or your concentration, or you don't feel you have to act a certain way. If it's just me, I can craft the conversation so it's happier, so you're happy, or maybe more emotional, so you become more thoughtful. And that's what Brad Pitt loved, because I shot him, and this again, the first time I shot him was a long while ago. He was doing the movie Troy, and I shot him on the Wednesday. On the Tuesday, Annie Leibovitz shot him for Vanity Fair. So we had the same room, the same space. For Annie's shoot, Brad said there's about 40 people there in this space. The next day it was me. And he came in, he kind of looked around, said, where is everyone? Yeah. He said, is this the right room? I said, yeah. He said, are you Andy? I said, yeah. And he couldn't understand. And then he said, so you did this all yourself? And I said, yeah, of course I do. And we sat down, and we probably just chatted for half an hour, just chatted, but he couldn't get his head around how one person could do it all. And so we chatted, and we kind of bonded, because he was telling me about how his career first started, and how it was him with his backpack knocking on doors of studios and agents, and he said, no, I can see where you're coming from. And so we kind of bonded. And so when Annie's picture was finished for Vanity Fair, I met Brad for a coffee, and he bought her picture and I bought my picture, and we put them side by side. The picture looked amazing. It looked amazing. But he said, but Andy, in that picture, I look 10 years younger. It did look amazing, but they'd stretched him and de-wrinkled him so much. And he said, but I'm happy with how I look. He said, I'm happy with how I look. And because I left everything on there, I left the wrinkles and the greyness, I left it all on there, he loved it.
I know you wanted to photograph Tony Curtis for a long time, and I know that it has a very special story, because Tony Curtis also called it one of the best ever taken of him.
Tony Curtis was somebody I adored, because I think he's probably one of the most underrated actors ever. He has done some of the biggest movies like Spartacus and The Vikings and The Boston Strangler and Some Like It Hot, and all those amazing movies. They always kind of simmered. There was never like a huge star. So I tried and I wrote letter after letter after email after fax after phone call. It was always a no. Thank you, but no. So I was in LA shooting Kirk Douglas, And I thought, I'll give it one more shot. I will phone up his agent again and see if there's any possibility. Phoned up his agent. He said, Mr. Gotts, love to hear from you, but it's a no. Thank you, but no. And I thought, okay, I'm going to Google Tony Curtis. So I Googled him. I found out his wife owns a horse sanctuary called the Shiloh Horse something. So I phoned up the horse sanctuary, and his wife, Julie Curtis, answered the phone. I said, Mrs. Curtis, no disrespect. I don't care about horses. I care about your husband. I'm in LA for one more day. Is there any chance I can have 5 minutes to photograph your husband? She went, hang on. Tony, there's a guy from London here. Can he photograph you? And in the background, you know, sure, in the background. And she said, can you be at our house in Vegas tomorrow afternoon at 2:00? I said, absolutely. So I gave her my phone number and my hotel just in case they need to contact me. And I was happy. I was elated. I thought, at last, after all these years, I'm finally going to phone up Tony Curtis. And that evening, my phone rang, the Tony Curtis. And I thought the only reason he's going to call me is to cancel. There's no other reason to phone me. So I answered the phone, and it was Tony Curtis himself. And he said, Andy, it's Tony. I know we're going to meet tomorrow for a photo shoot, but I don't feel very well. I've got this odd pain in my neck and my heart and my shoulders. I don't feel very well. I will honor our meeting tomorrow if you make me one promise. I said, anything, Mr. Curtis. And he said, can you make me look like an icon one more time? And I said, I'll see what I can do. Then I hung up the phone and I thought, how can I make Tony Curtis look like an icon? So I knew his nickname was the American Prince. What can I do? What can I do? Then it dawned on me, because I knew he's in a wheelchair, I knew he was immobile, I knew that, because I'd seen lots of posts on the internet where he wasn't paralyzed, but he was immobile from the chest down. And I thought, well, if I paint on his face the flag, the stars and stripes, he doesn't have to move. He just looks straight at the camera. And she took me over and said, Tony, Andy Gotts. And he turned his wheelchair around and he got up as far as he could. And he gave me a hug and said, thank you for bothering to come and see me. I said, Mr. Curtis, I've been trying to photograph you for years, and it's my honor. He said, what's your idea? What do you want from me? I said, well, my idea is to paint on your face the flag of America. And he laughed and he laughed and he started crying. He said, that is amazing. How long do you need? I said, well, Julie said, I've got about half an hour. He said, take as long as you want. He said, I'm going nowhere, obviously. Take as long as you want. So I sat there for about 2 hours, this far from his face, painting on the flag, listening to all the stories about the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra, Mia Farrow, Marilyn Monroe, all these stories, all these amazing stories about his art, about his family, and it was amazing. So I got home at about 11 o'clock the next morning, and I was so excited. I was looking through those pictures straight away. I put them straight on my computer, and there was one, a little twinkle in both eyes. I thought, that's lovely. So I made the blacks a bit more blacker, then I sent over the picture. His wife, Julie, emailed back straight away. It must have been 4 o'clock in the morning their time. Oh, that's really odd, being up at 4 o'clock. And she said, Andy, Tony collapsed this morning. He's in hospital. Can you send me over a high-res version so I can print out the picture, take it to hospital to cheer him up? It was, he'd be happy to see it. So I said, of course. So I'd done a nice big copy, emailed it over. The next day, she printed it out, took it to hospital, and she said, for 2 minutes, he looked at this picture nonstop for 2 minutes. He turned to her and said, Julie, this is the best picture ever taken of me. And he died that afternoon. So not only was it the last ever picture, it was his favorite picture. So to me, I cannot see, no matter if my career lasts another 30 years, I can't see me beating that accolade from my hero.
Andy, I wanted to ask you about your secret, but as you already told the stories, it makes sense how they are open and how they are showing sides that never before was seen. What advice you will give to the young photographers, how they must find their unique style?
I always say when people say, "What's your secret?" When people, I mean, I probably get from photographic students probably between 40 and 60 emails every week saying, "I want to be you. I want your career. How do you do it? What is the secret? How do I become?" The secret, this it isn't a secret really. Photography is 80% luck. Photography is luck. So I'd say my career is 80% luck, 20% champagne. Because I do like to take a bottle of champagne to my photo shoots. And so before the shoots even start, we have a little drink and a chat. So uh, let's say someone like Robert De Niro, for example. Um, I know him from his movies. He knows me from my photos. But as human beings, we don't know each other. So we spend I try to spend about half an hour, 45 minutes chatting, having a glass of champagne, talking about, and this also links to Harrison Ford. So all these stories are going to merge. So I like to just talk and get to know the person. Harrison Ford, everyone said to me, Harrison Ford is really hard work. He's moody. He doesn't like interviews. He doesn't like photo shoots. He just wants to go. And he came into my my little studio in Mayfair, like Brad Pitt, looked around. Only you? Yeah, come in, sit down. And I said, do you want champagne, Mr. Ford? No, do you have a coffee? I said, sure. But it was 10 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, have a coffee instead. I have the champagne, you have the coffee. And I put him a coffee. I knew he was really into old aircraft, vintage flying, aviation generally. And I started talking to him about old aircraft and Duxford War Museum. And it was the anniversary of the dam busters and the bombing of the dams in World War II and the aircraft, the Lancaster bombers, talking about that. And you could see his face relax and relax. And he was engaging in a photo shoot. And then after about 20 minutes, he said, "You're the first person not to mention Star Wars." And that's the key. Don't talk about their movies. Don't talk about anything that they're expecting you to talk about. Just talk about normal stuff. Normally, I talk about how bad the weather is, or my travel to them, or about my dog, or about anything. But then after a little while, they know it's not a formal photo shoot. It's more laid back. And so then we start doing we do the iconic ones where they're quite serious. Or I do two pictures. One sort of picture where they look iconic, another one where they look stupid. That's what I kind of do. Goofy ones and serious ones. So we always do the serious ones first. It's normally they look a static camera, emotionless, really shallow depth of field, and then we do silly ones. And when I shot Harrison, I said to him, "Would you be up for doing some goofy ones?" He said, "In 35 years, no one's ever asked me. Everyone's scared of me." And he loved it. And it comes back to De Niro. De Niro's doing the funny, silly faces. He was loving doing the faces. And then I stopped. And I said to him, "Do you get quite bored of people doing that impression of you from Taxi Driver? You look at me, you look at me." And he said, "No, but have you seen Pacino do an impression of me?" I said, "No." Then he done his face. And I've done this one picture. This one picture is De Niro doing an impression of Pacino, doing an impression of De Niro. And that's probably one of my best known pictures I've done, I think, because it it's an expression you've seen him do, but it's overly doing it, and it looks funny, and it makes everyone laugh. So yeah, so that's my secret really. I keep my shoots quick, I keep it fun, I keep it non-professional. I mean, the amount of people have said to me, "Are you sure you're professional?" And that's what my secret is. I make people believe I don't know what I'm doing. That's my gift. I can make people think, surely he doesn't know what he's doing. But that's my. If I was so professional and so clued on and so light hair, light reading is this, lens is that. If it was so about the practical side, people would approach me and okay, I've got to sit here and do my job. Whereas as it's more fun and laid back and kind of stuff, people are more in it. And that's another thing I say to students. If you're photographing someone famous, if you let them do all the faces they always do, you're going to get nothing new. So the job of the photographer is you've got to let the famous person or whoever give you 50%. You as the photographer give 50%, because if it's all me, then all my pictures will look identical. So whether you're Harrison Ford or Kate Moss, you're not the same because it'll be all me. So you want to do this balance where they give you 50%, you give them 50%, and in the middle, do this little dance in the middle where they're doing something different, you're capturing something different, then in that magical 2-3 minutes, you get something no one else has got before. And I think that's what the magic is.
Andy, I see part of Charles Dane behind you. So it is for a new project?
Yeah. So literally, it's one of Charles Dance's. Here's someone. Okay, I'll wind back a bit. Yeah, because I was told. So, whenever, bearing in mind, my career is actors. The first thing an actor says is, "I hate being photographed." That's the first thing every actor says. "I hate being photographed," and Charles, Mr. Dance, is one of these people hates being photographed, and I can never understand it. And Anthony Hopkins gave me the reason, because I said to him one day, I said, "Why do all you actors hate being photographed?" He said, "There's two reasons. One, we spend our life pretending we're the people, and we're more comfortable being other people." And he said the most obvious answer is from year one, we're told never look in the camera lens, never do it. And he said, now you're asking me to look at the camera. And he said, for an actor, we hate it because we're told not to do it. And I said, oh, yeah, of course. But so Charles, I've shot Charles for two reasons. Firstly, I really want to shoot him. And also, I'm now working on a brand new project that's it'll probably be coming out next year. Never been done before. It's and I can't tell you exactly what it is, but there is a certain genre of movie that all the main actors have never shot together before. So I'm going around all this, so this franchise started in 1962, and so I'm trying to find every living cast member of this certain bunch of movies to try and photograph all the living cast members. And Charles, one of the people working on. And what's lovely is a shot like this. People assume it's Photoshop, but it's not. That is Charles wearing a black T-shirt that's done up to there with a black background. That's all it is. There's no Photoshop. There's no clever trickery. It's a black T-shirt, a black background. That's all it is.
Thank you, Andy, for the interview. Hope you will come also to Georgia one day.
I'd love an exhibition in your country. I'd love one, and I think that would probably be on my wish list. I mean, Georgia is a lovely place. So I'd love at one point to do an exhibition there. So who knows? My pleasure. Thanks very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.